Toolboxes. One of Dead by Daylight's many features to have had a rocky history, dear viewer. Throughout their time in this game, toolboxes have always managed to be a topic of great debate. Their ability to improve repair speeds and sabotage hooks means that they can sometimes empower certain controversial playstyles. Over the years, however, they've received a series of nerfs and adjustments from behaviour in hopes of bringing them to a suitable level of balance. Which brings us to today, dear viewer. Toolboxes are still a controversial topic, with many arguing that they increase repair speeds too greatly and serve to facilitate strategies such as gen rushing. Today I want to present a rework concept that seeks to make toolboxes more balanced and interesting for both sides. Let's start by talking about the problems with toolboxes. I think that broadly these can be boiled down to toolboxes are boring. This manifests in a number of ways, which I'll break down here, dear viewer. First, the more powerful toolboxes allow survivors to complete their objective much faster than standard repairs. This makes the matches they're used in considerably shorter, and this means that there's less opportunity for anything interesting to happen. These matches rarely have a close result, and neither side has much of a chance to make cool plays or have many interesting interactions, because, before you know it, all the generators are complete and it's time to leave. This usually happens as a result of several perks and toolboxes all being used in tandem with each other. In the average match this isn't too much of an issue, but a coordinated effort can see this become a major problem. Second, all toolboxes are basically the same. The differences are mild number changes, and this leads to some being objectively better than others. For example, the Commodious toolbox is a straight upgrade to the worn out tools. This means that, other than the perishable nature of items and add-ons, there's no reason to use the weaker toolboxes. This means that when considering choices in a loadout, a player simply makes the correct choice. In-game, the Commodious toolbox is objectively the best toolbox, and likely the one that you, dear viewer, immediately think of when someone mentions toolboxes. And this toolbox is almost always used with 2 of 3 add-ons: the brand new part, the wire spool, or the scraps. In total, the 2 toolbox setups you see the majority of the time are this, or this. Third, you can't make many plays with toolboxes. You simply repair generators quicker. This is certainly useful, but nobody has cool moments with toolboxes. At most, you can use one of these 2 toolboxes to very quickly repair a small portion of generator progress in order to avoid certain killer perks. One niche play, and it's only really available if you use one of the less powerful toolboxes. I'd argue, dear viewer, that that's not too interesting. Sabotage-based toolboxes can definitely make for more interesting plays, but that's far more niche and only really useful in coordinated teams. So, what are we going to do about all of this? Well, I'd suggest that a series of changes could help make toolboxes more balanced, but also more interesting. We'll start with the base kit changes. First, a toolbox repair action would be considered separate from a regular generator repair action. This was something I briefly talked about in my player base modifier cap video, and I'll explain again in some more detail here. Basically, while performing a toolbox repair, a player couldn't benefit from certain regular repairing perks. For example, if I'm using a toolbox to repair a generator and I have Deja Vu active, I wouldn't receive the repair speed bonus from Deja Vu. I'd need to stop using the toolbox in order to benefit from the bonus repair speed provided by Deja Vu. This would mean that survivors would need to choose between using repair perks or a toolbox, but couldn't use both simultaneously. This change will make some more sense after looking at the reworked toolboxes. Next, performing a toolbox repair wouldn't increase the chance of triggering skill checks compared to a regular repair action. Currently, toolboxes have an increased chance of triggering skill checks, and this can be used in tandem with certain perks for some crazy combinations. By default, toolboxes would have the same chance to trigger skill checks as a regular repair action. The chance of triggering skill checks is something that will be altered by using specific toolboxes or add-ons, something we'll be exploring later. Finally, toolboxes wouldn't have the sabotage action unlocked by default. At the moment, any toolbox is capable of sabotaging a hook, but at varying speeds. With the rework, toolboxes wouldn't have the sabotage action available unless specifically stated. Further, toolboxes that are capable of sabotaging wouldn't be able to perform repairs. In total, this would mean that toolboxes have two different functions with a clear distinction between them. In this video, however, dear viewer, I won't be talking about sabotage-based toolboxes. Sabotaging is an entirely separate topic that I'd like to explore at some other point. For now, I'll focus on talking about the repair-based toolboxes and their add-ons. In total, these basic changes seek to alter some aspects of toolboxes that currently allow survivors to repair generators at incredibly quick speeds and sabotage on the fly. Well, Cameron, I hear you say, these changes would be okay and maybe reduce the capabilities of toolboxes slightly. But without reworking toolboxes themselves, it wouldn't really do too much. Absolutely, dear viewer, and that brings me to the next section of this video, the toolboxes themselves. Let's jump right into these new toolboxes and explore their new functions. First is the Worn Out Tools. This toolbox is focused on making skill checks easier, as well as providing a small repair bonus. This toolbox would be most useful for newer players as they learn about and get used to skill checks. However, experienced players could still make use of the repair speed and potentially hit some easy, great skill checks for some further value. Next, the Greasy Toolbox is focused on risky repairs. First, it has a number of features that make you more difficult to detect while repairing any generator. Further, its repair speed bonus is enhanced while you're near the killer. This would reward survivors who identify times and places where risky repairs could be performed. Using this toolbox could help you repair a nearly finished generator next to a chase, and leave the killer less aware of your presence unless they're paying great attention to the generator noise itself. The Mechanics Toolbox is focused on working with regressing generators and interrupting that regression. This toolbox has a number of features that make it useful for focusing on repairing generators that are currently regressing. When using this toolbox, survivors will want to run information perks that could help identify damaged generators such as Alert or Rookie Spirit, and then take the time to interrupt that regression with this toolbox. In this way, this toolbox could be useful for countering powerful regression perks such as Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Now it's time to look at the Commodious Toolbox. Currently, it's the most powerful toolbox thanks to its repair speed capabilities and considerable number of charges. This reworked version focuses more on providing improved repair speed through great skill checks. First, this toolbox removes the random nature of skill checks. Instead, they're guaranteed after repairing 10 continuous charges. As you can see, hitting consecutive great skill checks can considerably reduce the time spent repairing a generator. A survivor will need to be focused and experienced at hitting their skill checks in order to gain the most value from this toolbox. Finally is the Engineer's Toolbox. This is the only toolbox to stay somewhat unchanged. Similar to its current version, the focus is on repairing a small amount of progress very quickly. This could be useful to deny certain regression perks or allow for a survivor to reduce the amount of time they are vulnerable for in certain situations. This would allow for players that are currently available, except now they're limited to this toolbox in particular. In total, this rework seeks to differentiate each toolbox and allow them all to accommodate different niches. They will still all have a focus on improving repair speeds, but all in different ways. Players will want to identify instances in which their toolbox will be useful and make a play accordingly. The hope is to create a set of toolboxes that are more balanced, but also far more interesting to play with. Now, after having shown off the various toolboxes, you may be wondering, Cameron, did you also rework the add-ons? Yes, dear viewer, of course I did. It's at this point I want to reassure you, my break from the channel was not spent touching grass. And to prove it, this section will explore all of those reworked add-ons. First of the browns is the Instructions. This one has been reworked to correct missed skill checks rather than bypassing them entirely. This means that players can risk trying to hit greats or offer a limited counter to tremendously difficult skill checks. The Mechanical Grease is a new add-on that also seeks to reduce the punishment for missing skill checks. The difference here is that missing a skill check is still slightly punished, but the effect never runs out. The scraps have been reworked to provide extra charges, but only in instances where you miss a skill check while using a toolbox. Put simply, the wasted charges are refunded to you after you miss a skill check. Starting off the yellows is the Clean Rag. This add-on has been promoted to uncommon and been given a new effect. Now it increases the size of great skill checks, making them easier to hit. However, it also reduces the bonus for hitting them by a small amount. The Spring Clamp has also been reworked, given that its current effect is now part of the Greasy Toolbox. This one plays around with the chances of skill checks triggering. Outside of the terror radius, they are more likely to occur, giving the survivor an opportunity to hit great skill checks. However, while in the terror radius, the chance of triggering skill checks has been reduced. They can still occur, but are much less likely to, putting you at less risk of being detected. Promoted to rare, the wire spool functions similarly to how it currently does by providing extra charges to any toolbox it's used on. However, its effect is now percentage based, rather than providing a flat bonus given the wide range on toolbox charge numbers. The socket swivels have also been promoted to rare and still focus on improving repair speeds. Now, however, the focus is on having to hit difficult skill checks in order to receive bonus repair progress. Finally, the brand new part has had its effect when installed completely reworked. Now it provides a small amount of progress and also drastically reduces the effects that kicking has on the generator. This would make defending the generator more difficult, and a killer would need to make use of blocking or immediate regression perks in order to hamper progress on generators that have a brand new part installed. In total, this add-on would help maintain progress on a generator that's received a considerable amount of repair progress. In total, this add-on pass seeks to provide a number of potential bonuses to toolboxes by modifying skill checks and allowing players to improve their repairs through more skill-based means. Overall, the hope is to create more interesting add-ons that have a number of potential synergies when used with certain toolboxes or with each other. Finally, I'd like to add a small rework at the end here to the perk Scavenger. Currently, Scavenger reduces your repair speed by a massive amount once activated. Given that these reworked toolboxes would no longer provide the massive repair speed bonus they currently do, this perk would arguably become counterproductive. So, what would I alter? Well, simply, the new version of Scavenger would have the toolbox repaired after a 30-second delay without affecting a player's repair speed. This would mean that the perk would work very similar to its release state, simply repairing a toolbox after enough skill checks have been hit. Further, something I've mentioned in a previous video, the token for looting a chest would apply on either a search or a rummage. Also, any type of toolbox could be looted from a chest, meaning that a player isn't limited to only getting the weakest of the toolboxes from their perk. That's it for this one. These are all the suggestions I have for improving the toolbox's current issues as I see them. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment or make a forum post and send a link. Whatever your ideas are, I want to hear them. I don't make this video to declare my ideas as gospel or something, I just hope to maybe inspire some conversations. By discussing our ideas and putting them together, we can get that bit closer to making DBD the best version of itself. Thank you very much for watching, dear viewer, and I hope to see you in the next one.